of the opening quarter. They need to be on their best behaviour now. Sharp couldn't take it. It'll be seen to the line as Hunt and Riley tangle.
It's not sustainable. I know that there's only 1 point in the margin, but 15 inside 50s for the quarter. It's really lived in Footscray's forward half. Frankston just uber efficient going forward.
The margins staying relatively as they are, and the two other matches currently unfolding in the Smithies VFL that are edging towards three-quarter time. O'Donnell, it bounced off the chest and he dragged it back in. He's got Keith, who'll have a runner in Bustlinger. Now heads there. Bustlinger's got Callett if he wants. Instead, it's a chance to have a couple of Sunday afternoon bounces and put it into the hands of the athletic Ripstra. Happy to launch high and with good reason. Bedendo tried to work his way to the front. Jones at the fall. Gallagher the second layer, taken out of it. Stainthorpe looks to be the offender in the tackle. Can't question their attack. It's just been method at times where they've coloured outside the lines, the home side. So we haven't had a goal since Matt Johnson at the 19-minute mark. He missed a shot 5 minutes ago to bring the game to its current state. Harvey Gallagher with a beauty at the 18-minute mark of the opening quarter for his second. Loves it, Harvey. He's got two. McRae two. 7-point ball game.
Sheer weight of numbers is providing opportunity for Footscray to hit the scoreboard, and Gallagher's the man. There's no doubting whatsoever on the Maxis Tyre replay that was a free kick. Stainthorpe just committed to the tackle, but unfortunately the ball came out.
28 minutes gone, 7 VFL's match of the day, and we've got ourselves a ripper. So Dogs by 7 points. They'll win another clearance here. Harms drew the man, gave it off to McRae. He drives the legs, doesn't quite hit the kick where he wanted it. It might work for Clark. Comes over the top. Here's Gallagher again. Dragged down as he kicks. Importantly for Frankston, allowed Smith to get on the end of it.
Just too easy out of that centre clearance as well.
Josh Smith to George Gray.
Having to slow things down.
And the veteran does exactly that. Let's just take it easy with 28.5 on the clock. Go for distance towards the wing. We'll get over the back of this contest. Numbers there for the Dogs. Ethan Hunt uses a support. It's Keith who goes short to Cleary. And again, they'll look to switch here. We'll continue it on to Callett. Create a bit of space down the broadcast side. To half forward. Gardner in the middle of that pack. O'Leary's been industrious in the first half. Barlow no room to work, and Voss immediately tackled. So the Dogs have just lifted a gear in the last 10 minutes. They've kicked 7 points clear again, having really dominated most of this second term.
Sharp going down as a spare for Frankston here in the last minute or so.
McRae to Sanders. Their clearance work today has been outstanding. Off the hands of the contest. Important for Barlow to be clean here. Did it well, paddled to his own advantage, and the handball got it to the line. And now, again, Frankston have to defend with their backs to the wall.
And great positioning there from Sharp. He put himself right where the contest needed to be. That's what you want from your spare. A bit of aerial support.
Dogs led by this margin at quarter time. Grant versus Owen. Milne went off the ground. O'Leary clean. Kick not so much. Skittles Bustlinger. Tricky one. Butland. Where's the Keith tackle, who got it free. Smith, the big man, showing some dexterity at times, not on that occasion.
They've got no one forward of centre though.
So Reedy has it.
Must be slow.
Troops assemble. They've shown an ability to go through their gears. Nunes, Johnson against Cleary, has defensive support for O'Donnell, who chips. Orgill looking to manage the clock late for the Dogs.
Very late. It is half-time. Belter of a game at Frankston. It's Footscray 8-2-50. The Dolphins 7-1-43. The Dogs led by 7 points at quarter time. They've maintained that advantage at the half in what's been a thoroughly entertaining game of football in perfect conditions at Kinetic Stadium in Frankston. Coming up on our halftime show, we'll analyse the opening half. We'll take you round the grounds, get you up to speed on everything that's been happening in round 20 of the VFL. And we'll spend a bit of time with Dolphins coach Jackson Cornberg. Jack McRae and Riley Sanders with 20 touches apiece in the first half. Jackson Voss has had 14 and Trent Minot 11 for the Dolphins. The Dogs by 7 points. Here's Macca.
Ryan Gardner back today after a long stint with the wrist injury, mate. How are you going? Good to see you back fit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, going all right. Feeling fit and healthy, which is good. So, yeah, just trying to get through a few games to get, obviously, the confidence back.
And you magnet up the other end of the board, up forward. How's that? Is that something we're going to see for the rest of the year, or is that maybe just a one-off for your first game back?
Maybe for a few games, yeah, probably just get the confidence back. We've got a fair few key defenders, so for me, it's just about playing that role at the moment, just because we need a key forward. So, no, enjoying the time up there, which is good.
Thanks, mate. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
On your
Thanks to Macca, and great to see Ryan Gardner back. It is half-time at Kinetic Stadium in Frankston. It's the Dogs by 7 points. It's part one of our Super Sunday doubleheader on 7. Coming up later this afternoon, it's Richmond and the Saints.
Whose young superstars will make their mark?
With Amy.
Hi, Shell. Shell has high blood pressure, and the rising cost of living certainly doesn't help. Annie manages her diabetes with good nutrition, but fresh fruit and veg prices keep rising. And Jack has high cholesterol, but nothing is higher than his power bills. That's why they save more money every year by getting their prescriptions from Chemist Warehouse. And you will too. Head online or look for our price list in-store to see how much you'll save. Chemist Warehouse, discounting prescriptions every day.
I love a sunburnt country. A land of sweeping plains, of ragged mountain ranges.
Just about set for the final quarter here at the Swinburne Centre. It is Sandringham 10-11-71, leading Richmond 7-8-50. I'm Brendan Jonty Rhodes. Here is Michael Peppicelli with the first bounce.
It's been a fun one.
Bounce.
It's been a fun one at the Swinburne Centre. Penultimate home and away round of the Smithies VFL season. And bursting away is Hall with the clearance for Sandringham. At the back, Mark not paid in the end to Hayes. Might have touched a fingernail on the way through. The Richmond defence is going to deal with it. Garner, now Sonzi, and Davidson, who's led a long way to provide the outlet. Gets up, spots El Noor, gets to him by hand, and they're linking up here, the Tigers through Coulthard. His kick hugging the boundary line, and May can't quite keep it in.
And I do want to apologise to Tom Blamires and all of his family watching on at home. I pinged him for a 50-metre penalty for Sandringham when he actually plays for Sandringham. As the fly from Brindley couldn't take the mark. El Noor threw it on the boot. It's going to be intercepted here by Hipwell. It was actually the opposite number 53, Joel Garner, who was the offender. So everything that I said still stands, but it was Joel Garner who cost Richmond that goal, as Tom Campbell marks in front of El Noor. Wanted to give the hand pass, and the players running past didn't want the footy. So he ran away and kicked inside 50 himself. Two zebras end up spoiling each other. And it's going to be a ball up inside 50. So don't come hunting me down, Blamires family. Your boy is a good player. Houghton gets it off now to Hall. Pops it into the pocket. Trying to take it on the stretch was Garcia, couldn't quite. Rioli, can he step her? And he stepped one, but he got caught from behind. Just got a hand pass away was the decision of the umpire. And it'll be Stacks on the mill here. The umpire will ball it up, and we're right back where we started.
Might have gotten a tiny bit lucky there, Morris Rioli, but we go on, and here he is, enveloped in the Campbell tackle. Jacob Blight's got 27 disposals, 13 marks. Has had a tremendous influence on this game. Really kept Richmond in it in the early going when Sandy was so dominant. Sonzi's kick, a high one. Davidson stayed down, which proved to be to his benefit. The handball into the middle of the ground for Yassine. Schoenmaker just gets a toe on it, and now Sandy can go the other way. Holker-Hahn has Keeler in space. And young Isaac Keeler, who's already kicked a goal today, is going to go back and kick from just inside 50 or maybe right on the arc.
And he looks a really likely type too, Isaac Keeler.
Really surprising that Adelaide decided not to match St Kilda's bid for him a couple of years ago. He was an Adelaide NGA product. But the Saints are the ones who benefit from that as they have this young, skillful key position player who shoots for goal, and it's marked on the line by Hayes, is it? Yep, or Allison, in fact.
It's a contested clunk, isn't it? 4 or 5 sets. It's a contested clunk, isn't it? 4 or 5 sets of hands there. I think the others all expected it to go through, but
he was the last one in line.
Yeah. Absolute flower bag from Matt Allison, and really well marked by Isaac Keeler.
He's certainly going to have the range from here. He's going to screw it around the body, is Keeler, and do an absolutely brilliant job of it.
That's how you do it.
Sandy gets the first of the final term. The margin is out to 27 as Keeler kicks his second.
Well, they got there in the end, the Zebs. There's been a couple like that today. One for Richmond earlier on where we wondered how they eventually got a goal after trying not to get one.
Yep, that's right.
Matt Allison will claim that as a pass, and the strange thing is it will go down as an effective kick.
Absolutely.
2 sevens are the margins in the other two games. Just started the final quarter in Queensland. The Lions 12-5-77, the Giants 10-10-70. Half-time at Kinetic Stadium, it is Footscray 8-2-50, Frankston 7-1-43. So a couple of really good games, and this is a really good game as well, even though it isn't quite as close as all that. It's been close since quarter time, that's for sure. There's umpire Birch, deliberate over his approach, and puts a good bounce in. One down by Campbell. Garcia goes the 1-2 there with Houghton. Now feed it over the top. Blamires, downfield free kick or advantage taken to Peckett. Wants to give the hand pass. Hasty had to stop and wait for it. Kicks inside 50, and that's why it was handballed to him. Campbell marked uncontested and then found a man in the pocket, Allison, who was all on his own as well.
Chance for redemption here from Matt Allison.
I think he'll be concentrating on the drop punt this time.
Well, although these days you never know.
You never know. You do never know. There's a time and a place for the J curve. Not when you're 20 metres out straight in front. He's not straight in front, but he should be kicking this, and he does kick this. And it's going to be very hard for the Tigers now. Matt Allison gets his first. And the margin out to 33 points, as big as it's been since early in the second quarter.
Well, if Sandringham do hold on to win this, Richmond really have no one to blame but themselves, because they've actually outscored them since quarter time, but just because they showed up a bit late, the Tigers may cost them a critical game in terms of finals positioning in the Smithies VFL for this season. And if Sandringham is able to hold on, it'll put them in a good position, but they'll be tied with Sydney for 9th spot on the ladder. They'll probably pass them because of percentage. Did I say 9th spot? I meant 11th.
11th. The live ladder has them in front on the basis of that goal by 0.23 of the Swans.
Percentage is going to be all important, and then they're going to have to get a result or two go their way next week as well, the Zebras. And Richmond will be right there hoping for things to go their way as well, assuming this result holds up. Hot and run down, but still gets the kick away. Terrific chase from Cumberland. We'll get a ball up. So the margin 33 points. Brisbane leading GWS by 13. And Footscray leading Frankston by 7 at half time. A usually high scoring game over at Kinetic Stadium. Considering the conditions, well, usually at that ground, but it's a beautiful day for footy as Rioli bursts through to McCarthy. Puts it out wide for Davidson, who runs hard and has often been rewarded in this excellent season. Long ball to a pack. Off the hands of Hasty. Might result in a goal here for the Tigers. And it does. O'Sullivan gets number 2.
That was just quality work. Read it straight off the pack. Finn O'Sullivan, and finished absolutely beautifully. 2 goals on debut at VFL level. He's certainly put his hand up, hasn't he?
Absolutely. And what an advantage it is for Richmond to get an inside look at Jagger Smith, Finn O'Sullivan approaching the end of a season where it looks most likely that they'll have the number 1 pick. It's worked out pretty well for them.
And telling you how close it is, that goal puts Sydney back ahead of Sandringham in 11th and 12th on the ladder. Of course, GWS in that conversation as well, although the Lions are now 19 points clear early in the last quarter up there. As we get underway again, and Tom Campbell, what a game he's played in the middle. Don't underestimate that. Good lessons for the basketballer Ollie Hayes-Brown. O'Connell gets it to Hall Kahan. Puts it on the outside of the boot, clever. And Allison has presented really well today. He takes another chest mark. Hasn't always held on to the kicks that have come his way, but he has looked dangerous every time the ball has been in his vicinity. He's kicked 1, 2 so far. And this would certainly seal the deal. Matt Allison comes in now from 47 metres out, gun barrel straight. Well, we've got a live round 21 and we can't wait for it once we get this great round 20 out of the way. It is the Tigers in trouble now, 9-8-62. In fact, they've put it on the wrong way. It's 8-8-56 the Tigers, 13-11-89 the Zebras. The scoreboard just wants Richmond to have kicked that goal.
Yep. The home ground advantage, home scoreboard advantage as well, apparently. But it's going to be interesting. Next week, the Zebras take on Geelong. Above them on the ladder, but it's at Trevor Barker Beach Oval, where the Zebras are undefeated this year. They've gone 5-0 in games at that venue. That should be an intriguing game. They only went down to the Cats by 15 points earlier in the season, whereas Richmond will be taking on Carlton at Icon Park. And with Carlton winning yesterday, we're not too sure what to expect. It's been one of the bottom feeders in the comp, but maybe starting to get it together in the last month or so. Who knows? As Sonzi draws a free kick in the middle of the ground. Hits up Ross. The blue boot wearing teammates combine inside 50. Off the hands of Hayes-Brown. And we'll get a stoppage in attack for the Tigers. Archie May, Finn O'Sullivan and Mohamed Yassine each kicked 2 goals for Richmond. Hayes-Brown tries to take it out of the ruck. Kick partially smothered. Up and under kick from Bonner. Richmond with numbers. Garner gets the fist on it. Brindley overran it. Over the top of it, Watson, and it's hammered out of there by Hawker Hahn. El Nor, the only one home. Blight looking corridor, and it's good for Ross, who wants to get it moving quickly. Guiney streaming through the middle of the ground. Bangs it long. May from the side. And this young man looks more and more like a prospect every game he plays.
Yeah, developing nicely, isn't he? 2 weeks away from his 20th birthday. And, well, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get looked at. If not in the national draft, then certainly on the rookie list.
Still so young, such a good size. Pay attention, AFL clubs. Archie May is a good key forward prospect. He's got 3 goals on the day.
3 goals, 1 for Archie May. 16 for the season in 10 games. It's a good, solid return.
They just keep finding talented players, Richmond, don't they? Archie May, Lockie Wilson has come out of nowhere this year. Of course, not playing today, but has been so impressive. Chad Harris has had a great season. Sam Davidson. They just managed to find these players. They do it so well from a VFL recruitment perspective, and Steve Morris and his team do a great job coaching them up.
And that's the key thing that I'll always say. Box Hill does it very, very well also. You don't win premierships at this level by your AFL list. You win them with your VFL list.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're developing nicely as Garcia breaks out of the middle, sends the kick towards half forward. Nice fist away there for the Tigers by Cantwell. Sends it down towards the wing, and Johnson just runs out of room. And it's out of play right in front of broadcast. 27 points the margin, 14 gone in the last quarter. As things tighten up in the finals race. Nice work by Jagger Smith. Mo Yassine runs about 25. Umpire let him go. Ross almost got tracked down. It was good chase from Garcia to affect the kick, and now the break in the other direction. Bonner gets it out wide to O'Leary. Tracked by George. Sends the kick short to Allison, who is right out on the centre wing. Drives it towards half forward. 3-on-1 in favour of the Tigers, and Ollie Lowe actually did a very good job there to turn defender and thump it over the line and gain a stoppage for Sandringham.
He's done well since being moved on to Blight. He's nullified his influence somewhat and has been able to pose a threat as well on the offensive side. Garcia, quick hands. Bonner, keel up, had the run up, and it's a high ball. Hayes made the contest. Chance from the boundary line. It's going to be well wide and just out of the reach of Blamires. We'll throw it in. Blight, 28 disposals after having 20 about halfway through the second term. Garcia's up to 26. He's laid 10 tackles as well and kicked 2 goals.
He's the best man on the ground, I think, along with Campbell and Blight for me.
Yeah, has had a complete game. Darby Hipwell, 26, and has laid the 6 tackles as well. Sandy's midfield has really gone to work in tight.
And there's the first one you apologise to, Darby Hipwell.
Yep, he's had a very good game himself. Turns 22 in a few days. Zagari able to get the handball out. Hawker Hahn's kick smothered. Chance for Lowe. Quick shot. Misses.
So Brisbane Lions have put paid to the GWS Challenge. They lead by 28 points midway through the final quarter. As the ball came back in, Hasty managed to make the spoil. Cordy, Keeler, Allison. Fed it out by hand. Stepping around is Watson. Spearing ball inboard. Great hands by Hawker Hahn. And Hugo can kick an important goal here for the Zebras as they yo-yo either side of Sydney in 11th spot on the ladder. And amazingly enough, there is a crazy world where Essendon and North Melbourne are still alive too, given the other results. They probably find it impossible given their poor percentages, but they are there. Paul Kahan from 45 metres out didn't get onto this one, and it's going to float through for a behind. 1 goal 3 for Hugo today.
Usually a bit more accurate than that is Hugo Hawker-Hahn. Garner goes long and up the middle. They're inside 50 again, the Zebs, and Keeler can kick for number 3 potentially.
Yeah, just made a bit of a mess coming out of defence there, Richmond.
Feels like St Kilda is still trying to work out Keeler's best position. He spent time forward last season, came and played defence to start this year. Now has been moved back forward, has spent a little bit of time playing as a mobile ruckman as well. We know he's got talent, and he shows that with a perfect kick. 3 goals for Isaac Keeler. Sandy are going to get a much-needed victory. It'll be just their second in 8 games.
105.68 to 105.35 on the live ladder with the Swans, who are pretty happy at the moment too that they're still alive. And it's all going down to the last round.
I guess the wildcard round with the top 10 is having the intended impact, well, certainly this season anyway.
As we said, if Essendon, GWS has now fallen below Essendon on percentage, so but both those 3 teams at 92, 92 and North Melbourne on 88, the job looks too tough for them now. But results can happen. And that's our first recall for the day. They've been good with their bouncing again today, the umpires. 35 points the margin in favour of Sandringham. In the end, that first quarter blitzkrieg is going to be too much for the Tigers to overcome. Hasty took it, gave it off to Hoffman, who fed it out wide. Blamires puts it down the wing, jumping over the top, but unable to take the mark was Guiney. Doing the roving at the back is Allison. Kick will be intercepted here by Garner. Steps around Keeler. His kick was good to George, gave it to Davidson, now running through the middle of the ground, Guiney, 1-2, good step by Fawcett, Sonsi runs past, goes for the barrel, puts it all the way down towards the goal square, May in the one-on-one with Cole, steps around, clever, gave the kick back, the mark taken by Johnson.
Well, we've seen it all now from Archie May today, not only the ability to take marks and kick goals from the set shot, but doing so well there on the ground to turn his opponent firstly, and then the vision and wherewithal to go backwards and hit up a teammate for a shot at goal.
So Aussie Johnson played 1 game for Frankston before coming to Richmond. It's game number 41 for the Tigers today. He's been a terrific pickup over the last couple of years, and he drills that straight through the middle. Margin back to 29.
Time on final term. 29 points is the margin. Richmond have lost the last 2. This will make it 3 straight defeats. And lost a couple of close ones a couple of weeks ago to Collingwood and then Williamstown before that. They were well entrenched in the top 10 before that, but now they're going to have to fight for it in round 21 against Carlton.
Wouldn't the Blues love nothing more than to put a fork in the Tigers in the last round?
They made things very difficult for Geelong in terms of top 4 yesterday. They're looking to play spoiler as the Tigers go forward through Sonsi. Fawcett can't take the mark. Quick hands, Yassine. Davidson got a cruel bounce. Ross has a chance to line them up. It's well offline and sneaks in for a behind. He's had a good day though, Jack Ross.
He has, since coming on at quarter time. Zane Cordy also came on at quarter time. He brings it out towards half-back, and that is a really strong mark by Campbell, with a couple of Tigers crawling all over his back. And he will thump it up towards half-forward. OL Noor got two hands to the football, couldn't bring it down. Garcia flipped the handball over the top to Allison, who tumbled it inside 50. Peckett sizes them up. Can't quite join the goal kicking for the debutants. The son of Justin has kicked his second behind for the game.
May very well find himself wearing a Saints jumper next year. Father-son eligible, of course. Keeler can't hang on. Rioli lurking is always dangerous. O'Connell's hurried kick went nowhere. Rioli terrific. Able to find Cumberland in the mess. Gets around one tackler. Shoots a handball in the May direction, but O'Connell able to get back defensively for the Zebras. Richmond will reload though. Garner, now George. Not a lot of movement up ahead. Fawcett offers something in the pocket. Goes beyond that. Off hands. And the Sandy defence will let it trickle over.
And now it's Ari's turn. Just show us one big one. And it's a 50-metre spear from Schoenmaker. And it found Garcia, who gave it off to O'Connell running through. Houghton sold his mate up the river. Turnover time. Harris to Rioli. Back to Sonsi, who goes short and kicks it straight to Zane Cordy. 24 minutes gone in the last quarter. It's going to be a crucial victory for the Zebras. It's now in the hands of Hoffman, St Kilda NGA. Chips over the top and finds Blamires. A very nice year, Tom Blamires. Turns 22 on Tuesday. Long kick will go close to the line. In fact, just stayed in. Blight couldn't quite hang on to the mark. So happy birthday to Tom Blamires for Tuesday. Had a good year and made himself a fixture in this Sandringham team.
From the restart, there is Blamires again. Bouncing ball inside 50. Harris, kick smothered. Keeler, Hayes, low, wrestled it back. Garcia for three. He's had a hell of a game.
Yeah, best man on the ground, Hugo Garcia. He is a class above. And you would think that in future years we won't be seeing him in a Zebras jumper too often.
Garcia's numbers, 30 disposals, 11 tackles and 3 goals straight.
You'd take that, wouldn't you?
Not a bad day, is it? Jack Ross, by the way, 25 touches in 3 quarters.
Pretty decent as well. Brisbane Lions by 39 points now over GWS, 17-8, 110 to 10-11, 71. Scores level down at Kinetic Stadium, 8-2-50 the pair, the Dolphins and the Bulldogs.
Jagger Smith up to 20. And Finn O'Sullivan's numbers, he's got 10 and 2 goals.
So, dying stages of this one. It's been an all-the-way victory for the Zebras as the clearance from Ross goes out to open space, close to the boundary line. Stepping around is May, just kept his cool, drove it long towards full forward. At the back, Davidson almost pulled the mark down, then he tried to scissor kick it off the ground. Zebras might come out of defence. Cole gave it off to Schoenmaker. His kick was smothered. Lands in the hands there of Hipwell, who gave it to Watson. And that was a really nice kick out wide to find Lowe.
Just revised the decision at the last minute as he realised there wasn't much on up the ground. And Lowe goes backwards to Zagari. Part of Sandringham's VFL listed core. Lennox Hoffman now. High kick. Off the fist of Keeler. Elnor. Ross releases Blight. Tightrope in the boundary line here, the Tigers. Johnson's inboard handball, a dangerous one. And it's turned over. Hayes. Hipwell. Schoenmaker. Centering kick. But the front position always with McCarthy. Cumberland feeds Jagger Smith in the middle of the ground. Waited for Blight. Backwards to Garner. And that's a good ball for George, who can get it and go. He's got numbers calling for it inside 50, and O'Sullivan is one of those. Can make it 3 goals in his State League debut for Finn O'Sullivan.
It'd be a pretty fair return too, wouldn't it? Hasn't had a lot of the football, but what he's done has been very, very nice.
10 disposals and 2 goals, 1 now for O'Sullivan.
I just loved his composure and his footwork. He's certainly got it. As Cole brings the ball back in to the punt road wing. Campbell is the target, thumped away from him by Brindley. Handball came back to Hoffman to Campbell, over the top Hipwell. Nicely done Lowe, tries to step around after receiving from Seaton. Dodging and weaving is Cumberland. Interesting handball, that one. And goes out of play. 29 minutes of tick by. Oh, I don't think there's too long to go in this contest.
It's been a 5-goal-to-3 quarter for Sandringham. They've let it wire to wire, but they were challenged at different times by Richmond after quarter time. They've been good enough to withstand that and then add to the lead, but turned over here by Blight. Might not be over just yet in terms of goals, and Blamires is going to have an opportunity.
I reckon the distance might be troubling Tom here.
Certainly did look for an option initially.
Especially at the end of the game. The legs are a bit heavier.
He's played every game for the Zebras this season. 2 goals, 3. His return in front of goal, and decides to give it off. This time,
O'Connell.
It's going to be the Irishman, who might be a chance from here. He's a pretty impressive kick for someone who's only recently picked up the game. Hasn't kicked a goal in his career, and this won't be one. Pick a free kick out of that. Umpire did to Elnor.
Yeah, just tripped over his own feet, I think, there, Jack Hayes, and fell into Elnor's back. So Mutaz will come away. Oh, he almost got shut down there by Hayes. It doesn't matter. A famous victory for Sandringham. They've led wire to wire, and they've kept their season alive in season 2024. The Zebras will go to round 21 with some hope. Well, the damage was done in the first quarter, wasn't it, for Sandringham? 5 goals, 7-0. against the Tigers. As we said, the first time Richmond held scoreless in a first quarter for 120 years. This time they couldn't get out of jail despite their best efforts. They got back to 14 points at half-time, was 21 at the final change, and in the end it's 33 points in favour of the Zebras. They never quite got back within single figures. Sandringham, too strong and still alive.
Fort's been a general in the ruck today. Beacon, I think when the game was in the balance, his ability to really influence that third quarter with Pryor was outstanding. And then, Madden, Robertson, those boys have also been great. So plenty to like for the Lions going forward.
Plenty to like too for the Giants, albeit the fact they've run out of legs today. And it's full time here at Brighton Homes Arena, and it's the Lions 19-8, 122 to the Giants 10-12, 72. Jack, question without notice, but if you had to sort of think of a 3-2-1 today for influence, who would it be?
I think Ashcroft was fantastic. Just accumulates lots of possession. He kicked a lovely goal today. But I will take the pressure off him, and I think I'll go for a line at the end of the day. I think he just was really strong. I think I'll go line. I'll go Ashcroft and maybe Fort. I just thought Fort just got some really big clearances in the middle of the ground for them and set them up. But just look, they shared it around Beacon. I thought was really good there at one stage. So that's just a quick thought without looking at everything.
Yeah, and I agree. I would go with Ashcroft, Lyons, and Fort today. But for the Giants, I love the work there from Adam Kennedy, who's just a rock hard coming from back from injury. James Leake was just a constant. Shearer was really good for the times that he was on the ground. Had 11 tackles on the day, and I did like the work there of Ryan Hebron today. He was fantastic, but.
Haynes and Nalir in defence, I thought they were fantastic today too. They stopped a lot of balls going in there and coming out there. So
I think Nalir was probably the best defender on the day in terms of his work
yes,
in the air.
Yep.
So GWS, it is all on to you as we head towards finals. It is the Richmond have done their job. They have lost. The Lions, well, they are definitely on track for a home final in a couple of weeks' time. But Jack, it is a privilege being in your company today. Love being in your company. Thanks to our superstars here on the other tech team. We have the best tech team here in Queensland, and we will brag about it till the cows come home. But most importantly, we have the best supporters. That is the VFL supporters. Thanks to GWS and the Brisbane Lions fans for tuning in today. We look forward to your company next week here in the Smithies VFL.
So there's the final score. Brisbane by 50 points. Frankston will play in the wild card. The only question to be decided in the next 7 days is home or away.
And Sandy by 33 over the Tigers. So bring you the live ladder in a moment. The Dogs exit 50. High and over the top with Stainthorpe. So there's the live ladder. Dogs have edged within half a game of Werribee for the battle for top spot. Frankston sitting 9th. So level points, 7, 8, 9. Richmond sitting adrift in 10th. They've got nothing guaranteed after that loss to the Zebras. So the Swans in the mix, but they'd have quite the assignment to make the wild card with the date, of course, with the Dogs to come next week. Turnover. Barlow, headset off, ball back in hand as Baker has to reset the mark. Front on contact against Nunes. Jones doesn't agree with it, but has to accept his fate. Jack Nunes is a touch slow to get up. Nunes for Milne. They moved enough for it to be play on. They need an aerial contest and they get one. Riley hands it off. Stearns kick low down. O'Donnell wrestles free. Callett. Smith couldn't find it. And the Dolphins, you'd think, will happily take a stoppage here as Quirks at ground level and eventually Davies can see Harms over the line. So margin 12 points. It was 7 at quarter time and half time in favour of the Dogs. It's been 2-1 to 1-2 in the third.
As we head towards time on, 7 VFL's match of the day. Campbell Farrell. Inside 50, good strong hands, Johnson. Important kick to bring it back within a one-possession game yet again.
Been desperate for a mark inside 50.
Now the finish.
Had a fantastic year, as we've mentioned, been in the Frosty Miller race. Chance to kick his second this afternoon and his 43rd of the season.
It's lived in Frankston's forward half, 11 inside 50s for the quarter, but they haven't been able to hit the scoreboard.
Which makes this kick just so critical. Matt Johnson, 23-year-old Beaconsfield, and Casey, these days a Dolphin. Another poster.
Back-to-back posters. Faded late, that one, didn't it?
Bustling has been a thorn in their side in this third quarter. That's his 8th touch, a team high. Gallagher to Keith. They move them one way and then the other, the Dogs. O'Donnell to Callett.
Frankston's defensive structure, though, holding up.
Lloyd missed the fist. O'Farrell with the Dacos-style hand pass. Gray, pinpoint tackle from Cooper Craig Peters, who's wearing Tristan Maple's 65 after a jumper change earlier on. When the coach's MVP went behind closed doors, Cooper Craig Peters sat 6th on that table. Sign of his year. Harms busts free. Looks for Jones, who has to wait. Distribute to Smith. Back to Harms, waiting for it, and there's not enough time. Well done, Dolphins.
And been given a little bit of feedback too on the deck. Great tackle. He really, Angus Grant.
Angus enjoyed that.
He did, look. Just let him know.
Right of the wing. Davies in the middle of this pack. O'Donnell over the top. What Unready releases Campbell Farrell. Tries to slip under the tacklers. Can't do so. Ball up. We're into time on third term. 7 VFL's match of the day. Dolphins are through to the wild card. They're now playing for a chance to host it. They have the bye next week, so everything else will play out as they watch on. But at least they won't have that horrible, anxious weight of sitting there helpless on a Sunday afternoon. They know they've at least made it into the wildcard game. Haven't played a final since 2008. Won just 39 games in 14 years. It's going to be a very happy football club tonight. But they want the 4 points to enhance their prospects. Cleary. But the Dogs need them too. They're still pushing for a home qualifying final. Lots on the line for both these teams from here. Stainthorpe lost his footing. Clark finds the football, has some options, back onto his left, inside 50, Bedendo over the top, Gallagher at the back, throws a boot at it, and he's got another one. He's kicked 3.
Just got goal side of his direct opponent. As soon as that ball came over the back on the Crown replay, you can see he knows where the goals are. He's had a nice afternoon. Gallagher's got 3, and for all that hard work Frankston had done, they had a couple of posters, goes straight up the other end, and Footscray convert.
25-2 last week for Harvey Gallagher in the win over Casey. 19-3 in the time on in the third, and haven't the Dogs got some depth as they roar towards the finals in both competitions. Frankston the clearance inside 50. Davies, O'Donnell, Keith held to his own in a Burke tackle.
Great point you make. Come VFL finals, if their AFL team's still rolling along, you get your full list to pick from.
Ideal scenario, and it worked for them in 2016. Harms. Team tackle, Minot and Davies involved. Dolphin skipper in his 50th match for the club's had 13 touches. Grant into space. Butland, and as far as Harms. Moran, a likely type, clears away from Bianco, but they give it back. Keith will blast it out. Moran's going to go again.
He's taking it upon himself just to make sure the ball stays inside the forward 50, and he's got a long leg on him.
Hit the post a few minutes ago. Been a star in the Southern League with Cheltenham in the last couple of years. Part of their drought-breaking Division 1 premiership last year over Cranbourne in dramatic circumstances. Hit the right post earlier. Oh. Hits the bait here. Just love seeing players miss one, correct themselves, and seize the moment.
Crown replay, key moment in the game, Brownie. Felt like Frankston needed someone to step up and seize it. Ollie Moran, his first goal in VFL football, a critical one.
Yeah, he absolutely loved it. Turned to the crowd on the Crown replay. He jogs back to centre half back. He's playing as that high defender.
Gets them back to within 11 points. Keeps the margin manageable. Dogs were threatening to slip away, and they may again. We've seen this before. Gallagher through the front. He'll get it back. Over the top. Pops a handball. Bianco for the finish. Brilliant from the Dogs.
Been able to walk through the centre clearances on too many occasions. That was just too easy.
Brownie, the Dogs have kicked 7 goals from stoppages. How does this keep happening, and how do you stop it?
It's far too easy, isn't it? Frankston haven't set up with anyone on the defensive side of the clearances, so they're easily able to be manipulated, and they just walk through. Then they got the overlap because players had to come off their direct opponents.
You can see it there. There's no one at all. No. Defensive side.
No, and they've been able to, I mean, the class through the midfield for Footscray with McRae, and Sanders is young, but he's classy. Harms goes through there.
Well, it's a centre square that wouldn't look out of place in the Bulldogs AFL team. And that's saying something given the composition in there. They've got to keep their heads here, the Dolphins. It could get away from them in the next couple of minutes. Jones to Callett. Staying down Gardner. Has options aplenty. Off to Clark, who was steady on the left. Couldn't cue it back far enough. He had a little bit more time than he thought, perhaps. Charlie Clark, who kicked one late in turn 1.
So, Brownie, I understand the Dolphins in the middle want to be aggressive. They want their setup. But at some point, do you just say, hey, listen, we just need to go a little bit more defensive here because we're getting burnt?
Absolutely, because you can lose the clearance, but at least if they're running into a play or traffic, they've got to kick it over the fingernails, and it gives the defenders a chance.
Owen flips it over his head to Jones. Now Cleary. Dogs pressing late in the term. Bianco in a wrestle, punched away from Gardner. Important crumb. Great tackle. Voss rolled in the tackle. Umpire disagreed. Said the initial contact was high. Free kick, Gallagher. Will hug the boundary line to Stainthorpe. Stainthorpe playing 10th VFL game this afternoon. And through the Roeville Football Club. Stabs the kick, shows a bit of it to Jones. Was a good contest in the air from Burke. Great extraction there from Craig Peters. It's moved forward, but only as far as Milne. Milne goes short, and again, Barlow has a good moment, but Dendo sweats on him. Milne runs into trouble, has support. It's Voss, it's Gray, and the Dolphins need to be tidy.
But they're happy to continue to be brazen. Moran has O'Leary short. He'll head there. There's what's in front of O'Leary. An idyllic backdrop. A perfect August Sunday. O'Leary back to Moran. And the 50-gamer Barlow marks in front of Ripstra. Heads inboard for Gray. So they've moved the chains at least to halfway. There's a bubble of space that Butland roars into. His lead is missed. Gray gets around Craig Peters, didn't make sweet contact, and Buslinger another intercept.
Buslinger and Keith are setting up so well, Brandy. They're just swallowing all the space.
Yeah, and they're playing into their hands, Frankston, with some of their forward 50 entries.
Keith and Buslinger just reading the cues from the kicker, positioning themselves to fill the gaps. That's a great contested mark by Milne, all the more important because he was outnumbered on the deck. And with a quarter to play at Frankston, the Dollies are into the wild card game. The Dogs playing potentially for top spot, at least a home qualifying final. Frankston looking for a home wild card game. Plenty to play for as we turn for home at Kinetic Stadium. It's Footscray 12-4-76, Frankston 9-4-58 on 7 VFL's Match of the Day.
This VFL telecast is brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. Save more money every year with discounted prescriptions in every store every day.
Footscray led at every change as they go hunting a home qualifying final. Frankston, well, they're through to the wildcard game no matter what, but now they're hunting a home wildcard as well. Ollie Moran with a great moment in that third quarter. And it's the Dogs by 18 points. Let's have a look at that live ladder. So the Dogs move, if they can continue on here and win this game within 2 points of Werribee at the top, but with a handy gap. So they're guaranteed a home qualifying final by finishing top 2. And Frankston, well, if they win, they jump up to 7th. And the way the wild card works is 7th will play 10th, 7 will host, 8th will play 9th, and 8th will host. So you want to try to finish 7th or 8th. The Dolphins don't have a game next week. They'll finish with the bye. So if they can get the job done today, get those 4 points, it puts pressure on the Suns and Williamstown next week. So plenty to play for. Home finals on the line. Dogs lead it by 18 points. What's their plan for the final term? Here's Macca with their coach, Stewie Edge.
Stewie, big last quarter. What was your main message there?
Oh, well, it's a great game of footy. Great atmosphere down here. We love coming down here, and the locals get it right amongst us. We've just got to have composure with the ball in hand. I think we've been butchering it, passing on pressure rather than releasing pressure. So we've got to be a bit more composed, and certainly defend a little bit better in the open field.
In the middle there, you're getting massive numbers in terms of Riley Sanders, James Harms, and the other guys in there. Well, what's your message? You're happy, obviously, with that mix?
Yeah, it comes down to the productivity of it. We're getting our hands on it. I think in the first half, we dominated first possession without it converting to clearance.
Yeah. Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks to Macca and Stewie Edge. Done a great job with the Bulldogs right throughout this season, and they're heading for September in some fine form. Our final quarter action will be thanks to Chemist Warehouse. If Jackson Cornberg in the Frankston huddle, what was your message?
Oh, their endeavour's been fantastic. Probably just their efficiency going forward. They had 14 inside 50s in that third term. 8 of those went directly to the opposition. And guys like we mentioned, Buslinger, Keith, McRae pushed back. They took intercept marks, so they're quite wasteful.
Final quarter action, home finals on the line. Kinetic Stadium in Frankston. It's the Dogs by 3 straight kicks. Quirk pops a little handball. Bianco run into immediately by Murphy and taken to ground. And then a free kick for a high shot going to Bianco.
Late call.
Early inside 50 for the Dogs. Coming out to meet it is Harms. Ball hits the deck. The dangerous Gallagher. He's kicked 3 himself, and now he can set one up for Baker.
He's been really classy this afternoon, Gallagher. 22 touches, 3 goals, and every time he's got his hands on the footy, something good has happened for Footscray.
So Oscar Baker's kicked a goal. He kicked it in the second term to this end of the ground. He's also had 15 touches to go with that. And this for an early strike for the Dogs. To just give them a bit of breathing room here. Baker steps around and does it beautifully. Oscar Baker with his second goal. Dogs up by 4 straight kicks now. Great to have you with us on 7+, live streaming our 7 VFL Sample Waffle games each and every weekend as we head for the September finals right around the country. Going to see some fantastic state league footy, and it's all live and free at 7+.
Gallagher was the man. They just put it out into space, and very hard to beat Oscar Baker in a foot race. Chemist Warehouse replay. It's a classy finish.
2 goals in consecutive games for Oscar Baker. Smith the clearance. The Dogs pressing to make this an unassailable lead. Tony Barlow, in his 50th game, wants to keep it afloat for the Dolphins. James Harms, 21 touches on his return from that hamstring. Murphy under siege is Voss. Gray, a dog to deal with on both sides. As McRae and Orgill work in tandem. Jack McRae 28, Sanders 26. They continue to press their claims. The Dogs, of course, in Adelaide for the Twilight AFL match this afternoon as Gray's taken high. Joel Frazier, incidentally, was the travelling emergency who's made the trip and hence missing this game. Gray. Johnson bustling her over the top's been outstanding. And Baker does it on both sides of the footy, closing down O'Leary.
Smith and Grant. McRae. Down the line.
Kick that into Oscar Baker.
So right now the Dogs sit third, but win today and they jump back up and reclaim their second spot by half a game over Brisbane. In the battle for those top 2 spots, which get you a home qualifying final. Win that, you get a home preliminary final. So the armchair ride through to a shot at a grand final. That's what the Dogs are playing for this afternoon. Well, still 1 round to go next week, but that would put them in the box seat if they can finish the job here. They lead by 4 goals. Jack McRae had a huge afternoon once again. He goes short. Finds Jared Gilby. He's called to go. Now to Keith. It's been a professional start to this final term from the Dogs. Just controlling the football, getting an early goal. Opening up a bit of breathing space. Brownie now taking a bit of sting out of the game.
Yeah, and Frankston just haven't been able to get their hands on the footy. Only 4 disposals in the first 4.5 minutes of this term.
Cleary using the 4th and 5th toes on his right foot to find Bustlinger. Clark got elevated. Riley and Barlow tackle Harms. Dogs have got an AFL date with North Melbourne next Saturday, in addition to the VFL match against the Giants. McRae to Sanders. Done enough in tandem today to open the counting practice.
They put on a clinic around the stoppages this afternoon, both of those guys.
58 touches between them. 31 of those contested and 20 clearances. It's been a fantastic performance. Been the difference really between the 2 sides to this point. This is Nunes. Great. Doesn't quite hit the target. Straight through.
Just everyone.
Lockie Reedy nutmegged him. Throw in.
That quick ball movement we saw in the first quarter and the first half from Frankston, it's really become quite stagnant, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've got to find a spark, don't they, here? They had Moran give them a lift in that 3rd term. It feels like right now, well, there's still plenty of time on the clock. They need someone to step up and do something to get the locals involved again, give themselves a spark. Good mark by Milne. Had a look around, seen what was there. Goes short to Reedy. Dolphins need a goal here. Reedy short to Riley, who slides on the muddy patch in front of the benches.
Now, if he wheels and goes and gets it in deep, he got one-on-ones inside the
Farrell.
50.
Sets it up, tries to get it over Jones's head, did it perfectly. It was a really well-weighted kick. You can see Artie Jones was trying to track it in flight, and he managed to just evade the fist of Jones and find Butland, and maybe this is the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good ball movement too. Alex Keith, he was conceding that lead up, but the support didn't come in the midfielders, and he led straight at the kicker.
So give the Dolphins a lift here from 49 metres. Starting right and stays there.
Been up a while, the Dolphins. They haven't had a bye since round 12. Enjoy one next week and get ready for the wild card. O'Donnell marks in front of Johnson. Harms. Baker does so well, towing the line. The line beats him on this occasion, and Oscar's none too pleased.
He's continued to work really hard.
A really shrewd pickup, I think, by the Bulldogs after Melbourne found him surplus to their needs. 39 AFL games in total, 24 of them coming in the last couple of years.
D's would love a bit of speed right now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I love a bit of everything.
Yep, no Baker, no Jaden Hunt anymore there. And
Gray taken down by Sanders. Grant with a tap. Best read by Milne, who corkscrews one over the head of O'Donnell. Davies gets involved with the fist. O'Donnell down. After it, Cleary, who's got Keith there if he wants him. Draws 2 Dolphins. Leaves Keith on his own, and he can consider.
They've been the 2 differences in the game, haven't they? Those 2 areas. The defence has been great in terms of intercept marking and then their clearance work.
So 7 intercept marks between them. And Keith now with his 16th touch alongside 16 for Bustlinger.
And a lot of those were just in the third term when Frankston had all the play, all the inside 50s, but...
Dendo crashes hard as he always does. Riley tries to find it, and Sanders comes in over the top.
Interesting thing about the previous build-up to the Butland shot at goal was Bustlinger was like, Johnson towards the boundary is redundant. I'm only interested in covering corridor if the ball comes in high. He's very, very smart.
Grant the tap, tries to find Campbell Farrell, who throws a boot at it. Gallagher couldn't control it. Gray, Nunes, back to Gray, but he's going to run into a dead end. Somehow gets rid of Cleary. George Gray snaps goal with just a bit of bend on it.
Well, that would have been something.
That could have been the spark.
They're still working hard. It's probably just a polished thing. They've been slightly more polished, Footscray, than Frankston. And that's simply because there's 15 AFL listed players out there.
So margin inside 4 goals now. It's 23 points. We've played 9.5 in the final term on 7 VFL's match of the day. We'll take you straight to Richmond and St Kilda after this one. Mark taken by Campbell Farrell.
Bit of a rainbow kick. It did Johnson no favours. Gallagher, 3 goals on the afternoon. Keith to O'Donnell. O'Donnell to Clark. And the kick was the ultimate because it allowed Charlie to stay in motion to Gardner.
Harms was on.
It goes wide. Harms, stop prop. Off the fist of Smith to Moran, back to Smith. But trouble coming for Lloyd. The Dogs turn it over, no, a hold. They get a call going the other way. Charlie Clark complete his case on deaf ears. Lloyd to Murphy. And Murphy to a moving Reedy.
Next link in the chain is Nunes. Butland wants it in quickly before the Dogs' numbers can get back. He's got Keith one-on-one. It's going to have to be a slow build-up again. Nunes will take the short option, which is Davies. Burke checks back into the game, and he pushes forward to try and create an option. But the Dogs have got them hemmed in on this side. Do they look to switch?
Footscray have done a good job at not allowing that corridor kick.
Davies thumps it long. There's Bustlinger again. Great body work from Grant. Umpire said it was a free kick for the block. Grant got thundered into. It's an open goal square. Has he got the journey? He's setting up like he has. 55 out. Gives it a ride. Gives it a big ride. Gives it a massive ride, and it's touched on the line by Baker.
No arc, but I'd be interested. Might have a look at closer, slower replay of that in a moment. Nice effort from Angus Grant nonetheless. Kick one in the opening quarter for the Dolphins. Harms gives away the free. Barlow, who kicked a beauty himself in game 50, has it.
Great kick.
They get the hit up. Josh Stern gets his moment.
Footscray defenders are allowing that lead up. They've been so good at their intercept marks. So this is the effort.
That's a goal. That is a goal. I thought it was live, and it's definitely on that, but it's all past tense. Josh Stern, 1-4 for the season. 4 behinds coming since his major against the Pies in round 15. Originally from Sydney, now very much a Dolphin, has their 10th of the day.
Yep, that sums it up.
Let's go, boys!
The Chemist Warehouse replay. Josh Stern gives Frankston some hope here. And back within 16 points. What's been a fantastic contest. We'll head boundary side. Alex Keith. Alex, congratulations on your game so far. You and Jed Buslinger in particular controlled the skies in the back half.
Nah, thank you. It's been a good contest. So good to see Jed getting on the end of a few. He's working really hard this year. So no, we've got to finish off well here though. The crowd's all over me down here. We're getting a bit of you know what.
It's not the best spot to be doing an interview, we must admit. We appreciate your time. What have you made of the contest this afternoon? Because Frankston have given everything and Dom Bedendo's has taken a ripper.
Yeah, no, it's been a ripping contest. I think it's, yeah, been a good arm wrestle. Obviously, we came down here knowing it was going to be a really good contest. They've got a lot to play for. So, yeah, and we're building towards the back end of the season. So, no, it's been a good contest and hopefully we can finish well. Great mark from Dommy there.
Alex, the AFL side's obviously flying, so's the VFL side. Everyone's pretty fit and healthy, 15 AFL listed players, so there's plenty to choose from down there.
Yeah, absolutely, and just a massive shout out to our VFL listed players as well. It's often the difference at this level, the strength and the depth of your VFL listed boys, and they do the hard yards after work on a Tuesday, Thursday night, and yeah, we've got a really good group that can step in when we've got injuries. But as you said, we've had some really good health, so that's been great. As
Dom Bedendo kicks his second of the day to make the margin 22. Alex, more on Jed Buslinger, who's one of the few players from the top end of his draft a couple of years ago to have not played an AFL game to date. How are you seeing him develop, and what are the traits that are going to have him in good stead for when he does get his AFL chance?
Yeah, no, firstly, he's just a real competitor, Jed, so loving working with him, and he helps me more than I help him. I reckon he's really strong through his core, and that's going to be his strength moving forward as he builds his his work in the gym and that sort of thing. He'll go from strength to strength. So no, loving his work down there, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Alex, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Best of luck this afternoon and for the road ahead.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks to Alex Keith. Marching back out to 22 points. Important goal there for the Dogs just to quash the resistance again. McRae tried to link up with Sanders. Davies taken down and then tackles Sanders. Well done, busting out. Craig Peters inside 50 again for the Dogs. Sliding in there was Lloyd. He'll be confronted by Ripstra. Ball goes out of bounds.
Something that you probably don't know, Jace, but Alex Keith was a teammate of mine on the Gold Coast.
Of course I knew that.
Did you know that? He never actually went to the Gold Coast.
That's right.
He was drafted to the Gold Coast.
And then went to cricket instead.
Played cricket.
One thing you definitely don't know, Alex Keith's Labrador stole my daughter's soft toy one day at the park.
How do you know I didn't know that? Poor Fluffy. Did she get it back?
Bar survived.
Glad to hear it.
Strength. That was
a few kilometres on the GPS to make it so.
Callett taken down. Orville wrapped up by Reedy. So margin back at 22 points, 16 minutes gone. Still time for the Dolphins. They'll need a couple of quick ones. Dogs, as we've mentioned a couple of times, such a professional performance from them today. As Alex mentioned, they knew they were coming down the road to Frankston and that the Dolphins had everything to play for, and they've thrown everything into the contest. But as we've mentioned a couple of times, Brandy, it's just been class on the inside, getting it to the outside and releasing the run, and then that intercept defensive game. They're probably the two areas that have just given the Dogs that advantage.
Absolutely, and no one can afford to take Frankston lightly anymore. This is a very different footy club than the one from previous years. They deserve their spot in the wildcard playoff.
Sanders, Moran cuts the angles, got a hand to it. So
it's been great.
The evolution for Jackson Kornberg to build this list. The Werribees, Williamstown in 2015, Port Melbourne in 17, and through much of that decade as well. Where those standalone teams have been competitive, and we're probably going to add Southport into that conversation in recent years, is they've had the tough guys, the contested beasts on the inside, but then they've added a touch of class that's made them competitive with those AFL-listed players. That's perhaps the next part of the puzzle for Frankston from a list perspective. Bedendo, Ripstra, falls over, heads for Owen. Barlow changes hands, tapped away, Milne cleverly. O'Leary is trapped on his right, keeps it in. Buslinger back with the flight, doesn't get a fist on it. O'Donnell does. It was a pretty good front and centre sliding through the slush.
So outside of Jack
couldn't
Noons,
get through.
who's obviously 31, a couple of hundred AFL games, the majority of players out there this afternoon between 20 and 24 years of age.
They're in a really good
Frankston.
position to continue to build.
Yeah, definitely. Got to keep the group together. That's always the challenge at VFL level. If you can get that sort of buy-in, and the most powerful for that is success, isn't it? The sense that you are on a journey together and you're building towards something.
Well, it's a 50 to 70 game block, ideally, of your core. Werribee got there. It started with Mark Williams, and then it was followed through from Nick Barlow. Willie and Port have had that previously. Southport absolutely have that at the moment.
And it comes over the top. Campbell Farrell couldn't quite grab it. And then a wrestle ensues.
And I think we've seen the siege germinate here this year to an extent. And also Coburg, who've perhaps been a little bit further down the ladder, but again have built in the season to date under Jamie Cassidy-McNamara.
They get the clearance through Gray. Pumps a handball. Voss receives from Murphy. Gives it on to Stern. And that's a good inside to outside for Frankston as Reedy. Oh, big fly over the top from O'Donnell. Crashing through front and centre was Orgel. Cleary. Slick hands from Gilby. Hunt and Callett. Getting a hand to it with Stainthorpe towards the line and out. As we head towards time on, Dogs sitting on a 22-point lead. As it stands, they will jump back up to second spot and be in the box seat to get a home qualifying final in week 1 of the finals. Next, we'll take you to Marvel Stadium for Richmond and St Kilda as our Super Sunday continues.
The Tigers' post-Dusty era begins. Gray, Milne, just had to check his kick, overcooks it. Johnson's been let down by the delivery a couple of times today as O'Donnell's the latest intercept. We find Sanders, who's up to 6 in the last. Wider for Keith.
Brownie, let me ask you a question. If the Dogs were to lose a midfielder and needed to pick one off Sanders or McRae next week, who do they pick?
Oh, I think you go with McRae, but they've both been superb. Very similar players, aren't they?
Gilby finds Baker. Final match of round 20 in the Smithies VFL underway. The Battle of Bell Street. The Bull Ants and Coburg going at it at Jenna Steele Oval. As there was a flyer on both sides then, as Harms one way, Campbell Farrell the other.
As good as Sanders has been, his disposal efficiency today is going at 44%.
Craig Peters to Artie Jones. A frustrated Jackson Voss in back play.
Whereas McRae's had 33, he's kicked 2, he's had 15 clearances.
And 85%.
At 85%, like he couldn't ask for a better all-round performance from a midfielder.
Artie Jones without an AFL game this year. Had 16-19 in his 16 matches coming in. Dogs have 15.
Artie's been lively all afternoon, doing a lot of the defensive things, the chase downs, the tackles, and the Chemist Warehouse replay. Good to get a little bit of reward for his effort this afternoon by hitting the scoreboard. Get another one of those players just around the periphery. Hasn't played much or any AFL footy this year, but he's ready to go if the Dogs need him.
McRae with another extraction, and Callett comes streaming in off the back edge of the square. Kicks to half forward. Here's Jones again. On the turn, sells the dummy, steps around Voss, drives to the pocket, huge fly, but Dendo, he is an athletic freak.
Launching.
Gives away the free kick on this occasion. His body's let him down over the journey. If he can stay fit and healthy, could be anything, Dom Dendo. Just hasn't been able to string together the sort of consistent footy that he'd like. Kick to the wing. Good bounce for Nunes. High kick to a one-on-one. Davies against O'Donnell. O'Donnell does the job well. Now has to follow up at ground level. Uses the support of Keith. Keith steps a man Davies back to O'Donnell. Great composure and poise in the back half of the Dogs today. Big fly over the top came from Nunes. Owen there. Beaten for it. Handball misses Gray. Gallagher. Harms. Callett. Good overlap again from the Dogs. This is Hunt through the middle of the ground to half forward. Keeping his feet with Sparkman. Then runs over the football. It's clipped high on the way through. Moves it quickly. Well done, Voss. Belts it to the line.
He worked really hard. Offside running to get across. You can see how fatigued he is.
News from Marvel ahead of Tigers Saints. St Kilda with a late change. Mateus Filippo out through illness. Paddy Dow gets a reprieve. The subs locked in as Caleb Smith for the Tigers and Jimmy Webster for the Saints. So up the freeway to Marvel after the completion of this game as Richmond and St Kilda look for a late season win. Cleary, Bustlinger, end over end tumbler. That'll test some fingers, including that of Grant. Barlow looking for Gray. Through comes Ripstra. Riley to Moran. Into the hands of Bianco, and there's the difference in this one. Bianco heads for Clark. Too strong through the call was Voss.
Approaching the 25-minute mark. Mark taken by Murphy, defensive goal square. Punches the kick to defensive 50 and finds Quirk. Quick release from behind. Barlow towards half forward. There's Bustlinger getting a hand in again. Looking to tidy it up was Hunt to Bustlinger. Crashing through was Burke. Gets it going Frankston's way. Gray from 55. Tugs it towards the pocket. The dangerous O'Leary against Cleary. O'Leary taken down by Cleary. And so Neary for Frankston.
Great effort, both players.
And commentator.
Cleary refusing to concede on that occasion.
Owen to Keith, who was left unmarked on the line. Orgill, Milne, a highlight that Dad would be proud of. The family signature shape of the snap, just to turn the footy from 12 to 6 and make sweet, sweet contact. And if the margin stays where it is right now, it's reflective of the game. The Dogs have been a goal better every quarter.
Classy finish from Milne on the Chemist Warehouse replay. And I think if you're Jackson Cornberg, you take enormous amounts of positives out of this afternoon. This is a very strong Footscray lineup, second on the ladder. 15 AFL listed players, and Frankston have served it up to them. If you just take away a couple of those easy goals that they gifted them, second and third quarter.
Crown best on ground, Jack McRae with 34. Quite by his standards this season, given he's had 46 and 43 in his other VFL starts this year.
16 clearances, and there's another one.
Yeah.
Sanders looking for a late one to Bianco.
It's another.
Jack McRae, we've had to go the early crow with the Crown best on ground. He might still get to 40. Orgill. So Frankston head to the bye in the final round of the Smithies VFL, and they will lie in wait for things to unfold and find out where to next. As the second incarnation of the wildcard is upon us. Smith, Callett, bellies it.
I'll jump up to 7th tonight. given they don't play next week, as Nudge mentioned, we'll just wait to see how the cards fall. Obviously, Gold Coast, Williamstown, the other two that could take those two home finals, those two home wildcard games. It'll belong to 7th and 8th spot. And the Dogs, well, they're well placed. They're fighting against Werribee and Brisbane for the two home qualifying finals the following week. All to play out over the next 6 weeks of footy. Got some great games coming your way on 7 VFL. Sanders the intercept. Tries to step through the tackler. Given plenty of time to do so. Cleary off a step. It's tracking left. And it's tracking into the hands of Gardner.
He kicked the first of the game. He might kick the last.
Kick one in the third quarter in between as well.
Been a good presence up forward. Provided plenty of aerial support. Brought the ball to ground.
So Ryan Gardner is a bit of a mix of Mr. Fix-It in this team. Can be used at both ends or even in the ruck. Steps around and kicks goal number 3.
It's a good luxury to have, isn't it? I mean, when you've got O'Donnell and Keith and Bustlinger down back, use him as a forward. If he can bob up and kick his couple of goals, 3 this afternoon.
He's really good at just crashing packs, getting balls to ground, being a defender. He doesn't get outmarked too often. If he gets caught behind, he's good enough to get a fist in there. He can do the ruck
work inside 50 as well, so...
Really useful player at this level.
Well, it's versatility that, again, terrific insurance policy for Luke Beveridge and the AFL coaching staff if something unforeseen happens amongst the AFL list.
Just good body work there. Josh Smith, who's been solid this afternoon. He's caught under the footy.
So a 28-point buffer. The Dogs haven't lost since lowering their colours to Werribee back in round 15. A final thrust perhaps for the home side. Grant inside 50, everyone ran past it. Donald didn't do a lot to mask his intentions. Tigers Saints next. 4 changes at selection for Adam Muse's team, a couple for the Saints. We'll head to Marvel after this. Campbell Farrell, he's enjoying that Nick Dacos hand pass. Battle of Bell Street, Coburg and the Bull Ants is underway. It's 3 goals apiece at Jenna Steele Oval as McDonald looks to clear the danger. Ribstra had a decent enough hold of Jackson Voss.
From 55, wastes no time, penetrating kick, thumping kick, misses right. Margin to 27. What's been a really entertaining and enjoyable game on a perfect day in Frankston, as Oscar Baker says, let's just settle down, grab the 4 points and head for home. It's on in the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
Strange timing. The Bulldogs collect another critical 4 points. They maintain their grip on second spot. And with finals just around the corner for both these teams, boys, you're better off just heading for the sheds. Footscray get the job done in Frankston. They'll visit the Swans in Sydney next week, while the Dolphins, who are safely through to the wildcard game, will have the bye to prepare for their biggest game in 16 years. It's Footscray, 16-5, 101, defeating Frankston 11-8-74, and that wraps up our coverage from Kinetic Stadium in Frankston. On behalf of Nigel Carmody, Campbell Brown, Andrew McCormack, our entire 7 VFL production team, thanks so much for watching. Now we take you to Marvel for the Tigers and the Sainers as our Super Sunday continues on 7. It's a very good afternoon, and welcome to Brian Taylor. Over to you, BT.